In this video, we're going to talk about Mailchimp and how to use its templates and merge tags to create a hyper-personalized email campaign. I'm going to show you how you can combine data and Mailchimp to send every one of your subscribers content that's relevant to them. But why? Well, personalization works. Today we've gone way past the point where sending out the same blanket email to all your subscribers is the best approach. Instead, send content that's targeted, relevant, and as interesting as you can make it for each individual. If you do that, you will increase your open rates, increase your click-through rates, ultimately leading to more engagement, more sales, and more revenue. If you speak relevantly to your customers, they will associate your business with their cares. That's how you build loyalty and lasting relationships. But the thing is, how do we do this in a way that's scalable, where you aren't having to continually spend your whole waking day creating content? So in summary, our goal is to create automated flows that send relevant content to our subscribers, keeping them engaged and spending money in a way that scales with our business. Okay, let's get on with it. And we're going to start by taking a look at our data set. Now, this is a list of our customers. First name, last name, and email address. And for each, we have the name of the town where they live. We also have 4 product recommendations. Now, this was generated by the recommendation engine in Distill, but equally, it could have been done by a data scientist or data analyst. Now, if you don't have a caged data scientist, don't worry. I'm going to post a video on how you can put together a one-to-one recommendation data set together later. But for now, those working in Mailchimp, it's really important to know what this data set should look like so you can get yourself prepared. So this is a mock-up data set. None of the people here are real. And we're imagining that you and I work for crowdfunder.co.uk. What they do is allow people to raise money to post their project online and then find a crowd to support them by pledging money. The projects are really diverse, such as supporting a local village cricket team or fixing something in the community to potentially the next greatest business idea. So when they're talking to their customers, it's really important for their message to be relevant. Someone in Dundee is unlikely to care about the water polo club in Crawley, but they may really care, or at least be far more likely to be interested in, a local historic landmark. So that's our challenge. An email campaign that highlights to each customer the fantastic projects that are local to them. Okay, back to the data. We saw previously that we had first name, last name, email address, and local town, and 4 project recommendations. So how do we translate that into an email campaign in Mailchimp? Well, Mailchimp has what's known as a flat data structure. It has a series of audiences. They used to be called lists. You have a list of subscribers, and each subscriber has a bunch of attributes, first name, last name, etc. You can merge these attributes into an email template, and a typical use for that is dear first name, dear last name, and then obviously when we're sending out the email, they get replaced. In Mailchimp, you can have up to 30 attributes per audience in a standard account, and in the pro account, you can have up to 80. Now, obviously, we want to encourage people to click through and find out more and pledge. And we also want people to be engaged. And having a newsletter that has an informative feel will help us do that. So if they aren't interested in any of the projects, then at least they may feel like the whole email is of interest and will look out for it next time. Okay, so here we have our data. And what we need to do now is put in all of the things we want to add into our email into our data set. So we've got another copy of that dataset here. This time it's been expanded so that our algorithm has included not only the titles of the products being recommended, but also all the other attributes we want to merge into the email. So we have the number of days until the project closes, the distance between the person and that project, the number of pledges that project has, and how much they've raised as a percentage. We've also got the cover URL and the URL to the project on the website, so we can use that in links in our template. This has been repeated for the second recommendation, and also the third and the fourth, which I've coloured the blocks here in the spreadsheet just to make that stand out. You can see that for every subscriber, this data is different. And when we load that into Mailchimp and use the mail merge, it's going to build unique and relevant content for every single person. We need to get this data into Mailchimp. So to do that, let's download this as a CSV file and then switch over to Mailchimp and create an empty new audience, which I've done here. And you can see we have an audience with 0 contacts in it. To upload our data, choose Add Contacts and then choose the Upload option. Browse to our file, select it, and then let Mailchimp do its thing. Once the file has been uploaded, you'll be presented with the Organize screen. This is where you tell Mailchimp which attributes you want to load, and of course we want to load all of them. Unfortunately, while Mailchimp has recognised the attribute names, it has decided not to include all of the attributes by default in our dataset. That means we need to go through each one and type the name of the attribute, as well as selecting the type of data it contains, text and number and so on. In Distill, you have the option of setting Mailchimp as a data destination, and it will handle all of this for you, letting data just flow. But here, we need to go through each one of these. It's not very exciting to watch, so I'll just put this on fast forward. So on to the last one, R4 project target. That's a number. Let's scroll through and double check that. Okay, all's good. So now we can hit finalize import and then complete import. Mailchimp is going to upload and manage that data now. And when it's done, you will be able to go back to your audience and view your contacts. And you can see that all of our data is there. Okay, so we're ready to create our template. Well, not quite. Unfortunately, there's a bit more data fettling we need to do. If we look at our audience and go into the audience fields and merge tags, you'll be able to see all our attributes listed out. What Mailchimp has helpfully done for us is call them all things like mmerge5, mmerge6, mmerge62, and so on. Now, you can leave it like that, but these are the actual tags we'll use when it comes to building our template, and it's not very tidy. And if it's not tidy, it can lead to errors. So it's quite a good idea to clean all that stuff up. To do that, let's replace all these mmerge fields with names which are slightly more friendly. However, we've only got 10 characters to use, so we can't just go crazy. Our first one, which is customer postal town, let's call that town. That's nice, short and snappy. Then the title of our first recommendation, R1 title, seems appropriate. Next, the number of days left for the project. That can be R1 days, R1 for recommendation 1. Then we can repeat that pattern for the other recommendations, replacing R1 with R2. So R2 title, R3 title, and so on. We need to replace all of these, so I think we can all agree it's time to use that fast forward button again. Okay, so we have created our audience, we have sorted out our merge tags so they make sense, and it's now time to start creating our campaign. Back into Mailchimp and into the campaign section and hit Create Campaign button. There are a few things we can select in here. We could select to build our template, but because we're going to be heavily relying on merge tags, actually we want to be tested by marrying the template to some data. So for this, rather than creating a template, we're going to go straight in and create an email campaign. Let's give it a nice snappy title. Actually no, let's go for personalised newsletter. Next, we want to choose our audience, and of course this is the list we just uploaded. And of course also we want to use the person's first name and last name in the to field. So let's select that and hit save. Now we can start to use personalisation in the subject line because we've got quite a rich data set to work with. So let's go with a subject line such as check out great projects in ... and then the name of the town where that person lives. If you remember, we created all those merge tags and there was quite a lot of them, like 50. You might be able to remember all of those. I can't. So a little trick here is to open up that list of attributes in a separate tab, and then you can flip backwards and forwards when you're creating a template. I'm going to right click on the audience button to open it up in a new tab. Go to Manage Audience under the Settings option, and I can choose Audience Fields and Merge Tags. There they all are, and of course Town is our merge tag for Postal Town. Back to our email subject line, we can now enter what's happening in, and then we want the name of the town, so what's happening in Crawley, what's happening in Exeter, what's happening in Bristol, in Dundee, and so on. So here we need to enter the town using the Mailchimp merge syntax, which is a star, then a pipe, which is a vertical straight line, then the name of the merge tag, in the case here, town, and then close it off with pipe and star. So that is star, pipe, town, pipe, star. We can also use the same trick in the preview text, the little bit of text that email clients sometimes show before people click into the email. When we've done that, click Save to go into the Mailchimp template designer. For this example, we're going to be using the code design block to build up our email, highlighted by the red circle. I'm going to start with a template that's roughly the layout we want. We have 3 placeholders where we can put our recommendations. We're going to be using that as Mailchimp has kindly provided layouts that make sure our email fits into people's inboxes. Let's start by deleting the content we don't want, leaving in place the Buy Now button, which will preserve our layout. Then we'll put in just one code block which we can start to build up. Here we go, we've got a tidy-ish template. We have 3 Buy Now buttons which are maintaining the structure of our email from the original template. We've got some introduction content which we'll modify in a bit. And we've added a code block above the first Buy Now button. That's got the red circle over it and the code HTML windows open on the right. We've only added one code block for now, as we might as well get that one right and then copy it. Let's start adding some stuff, and let's keep it simple to start with. If you remember back to the dataset we loaded into the audience, we had an image URL and a title for each of the project recommendations. So we're going to need to add a HTML element for each of those. First, an image tag for the project's image, and then a heading tag for the project's title. Now we need to grab the merge code for each of those from our audience mail merge fields. This is where opening that second screen in a separate tag comes in use, as we can just flip to that, remind ourselves of what we called it, and then drop that into our HTML. So for title, the first recommendation is R1 title. So now we replace the text inside the heading block with that snappy Mailchimp mail merge syntax. So star, pipe, merge tag, which is R1 title, pipe, star. Let's do the same for the image URL. In this case, this is the cover or heading image that represents the project, but in a standard e-commerce setup, it could be the main product image. Flip to the Mail Merge tab again to remind ourselves what the tag is, and then enter that into the HTML. In this case, because we're setting an attribute of the HTML element rather than setting the text that will be shown on the page, the merge tag needs to go inside the single quote marks. Save and close that. And now we have our first bit of personalisation. Hooray! We're going to preview that in a second to make sure it all works, but quickly before, let's duplicate our code block a couple of times, drag them into place above the Buy Now buttons, and then very quickly update the merge tags with the image URL and title from the second and third recommendations. That done, we want to see our work of art in action. We can do that using preview mode. So go to the preview menu and select enter preview mode. There we go. That doesn't look amazing. We're just seeing the raw merge tags, both in the email preview and on the right hand side, which shows the subject line and the to name. But we can fix that. Turn this enable live merge tag info switch on. And there you are. The magic has happened. Well, a little bit maybe. We can see that 2 of our 3 content blocks are showing recommendations, and in the right hand side the email subject is what's happening in Glasgow. For this person, our recommendation engine though has only found 2 suggestions, so it's leaving the last one empty. Obviously we can't send the email out like this, but we'll fix that in a minute. Let's see our personalisation in action first and see how our email will look for another person. And you can scroll through all the contacts in your audience by using these arrows. This is the second person in our list, and we can see that they are from South Shields. The subject line reflects that, and our recommendation algorithm has found 3 projects to recommend, so all blocks are populated. Even just flicking through 2 contacts, we can see we're sending a different email to each customer. It's hyper-personalised, and hopefully that means we're being really relevant to each of our subscribers. And we've seen that when you do this, you get far better open and click-through rates. Let's add a bit more to the template, and just to build it up a bit, I'm going to add the days to project finishing its fundraise to each of the blocks. But by now, hopefully you can see that you can use this technique to build up really rich, engaging content. So I'm also going to tidy up this introduction. Let's delete the default text and replace it with something personalised again. What's happening in town? Again, using the merge syntax. Star, pipe, town, pipe, star. Actually, no, let's go with get involved in town. That's a bit more of a call to action. And now finally, we need to hide the content blocks when we don't have a recommendation to show. These buttons from our original template, though, are a bit of a problem. While we can use the merge syntax in these to send the email recipients to the correct place, just by using the project URL in the web address field here, we don't actually have the ability to hide a Mailchimp template button using a Mailchimp Conditional Operation. And that means we're going to need to code the button ourselves. I'm going to keep the HTML code here nice and simple for the purposes of this demonstration. And I'm going to use a standard ahref link with a solid border around it. And that will simulate a button. But obviously you'll want to make something a bit more appealing. Once we've done that, we can delete all the buttons from the original template, and we end up with this magnificent design. The final thing we need to do now is show or hide each content block depending on whether our subscriber has a recommendation for that block. This is going to require more pipes and more stars. Having a quick look through the documentation, you can see that the syntax is star pipe, the condition, and then pipe star. Then you either put either HTML or text, and then you finish the condition off with an end if statement, which of course is surrounded by yes, stars and pipes. And now let's see that in action. Returning to our creative masterpiece template, we want to show or hide the whole block depending on whether there is a recommendation or not. I know that the recommendation algorithm that we're using from Distill sets the days to go attribute to 0 if there is no recommendation for that particular block, so we can use that, but you can use whatever your recommendation engine gives you. So to show or hide the whole block, I need to put the star pipe surrounded if statement at the very top, and then close it off with the end if statement at the bottom, surrounded by stars and pipes, obviously. Let's quickly repeat that for other blocks, and we're done. Let's go back into preview mode, and you can see that now all of our blocks are hidden. So let's enable live merge tag info, and let's scroll through some of our audience. There, beautiful, beautiful. Each email is completely personalized. We've got some engaging content. We're using the audience members' location in the subject and in the introduction, and then each person is getting projects that are relevant to them and their neighborhood. If they don't have a recommendation in one of the blocks, it's hidden. So now all we have to do is click the send button. We've put together a hyper-personalized email campaign, and our subscribers are going to love that, even with my template. But to fully automate this, we need to let data flow straight into Mailchimp, so we always have the latest and greatest up-to-date dataset ready and at our fingertips. We're posting another video about that soon, so subscribe to add that to your feed. Email is only one part of the experience. There is so much more we can do to be relevant to our customers. So check out our other videos, and if you've tried this, please share your experience in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to hit subscribe.